Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and freaks of nature of all ages. My name is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson, and welcome to a bit of an overview of VSDC Video Editor Free Edition. Now, I know for a fact that they got this thing, at the recording of this video, they have this thing on sale for 20 bucks. It's $19.99, normally $49.99 for the Pro version. The Pro version right now is on sale for $19.99. So when I finish this video, I'm probably going to go ahead and drop the 20 bucks and get the Pro version because there are a few differences. So if you want this program, this is where you get it. www.videosoftdev.com. It's the VSDC free video editor. All you got to do is either go to downloads and click on video editor, or just go right there and click on free video editor, and you will be able to do that. You also have they also have a free screen recorder. There's a free video capture. Some of these things do come with the video editor. Now, if you want the Pro version, as I was saying, you just go up to Products and go to Video Editor Pro, and there's your comparison right there. Now, I've been using the standard free version ever since I started YouTube. That's all I have edited any of my videos with. And as you can see, if you go to my Video Manager, I have got 452 videos posted to YouTube. And I have edited, with the exception of my 4 or 5 live streams that I have up, I have edited every single video I have ever posted with VSDC free video editor. Now, I have had a couple of people ask me, well, what would the developers think if they knew that you were using their free version to do YouTube? First of all, my YouTube's not monetized, okay? I've only got like 217 subs. I am not even in the general ballpark of being monetized, so I'm not making money. And secondly, if I pop over here to my Twitter and I go to my followers, there you go, right there. Right there, VSDC free video editor follows me. All right, they know I use their program. They know what I use their program for. They like it. They support me because pretty much they look at me as free advertising, which I am, and I don't have a problem with that, you know. So it's all good there. So I'm not worried about that. They know who I am. They know what I do. They even follow me on Twitter. So okay, so I'm not breaking any rules or nothing like that. But I do plan on buying the full version because it is on sale right now. All right, so with that done, we're going to pop that down and we're going to look at this video editor. Now, the reason I decided to do this video is I see a lot on Facebook and on Twitter because I do belong to a couple of gaming communities and gaming pages on both Facebook and Twitter, and there's constantly people posting asking the questions of what's a good free video editing program to get started with, especially brand new YouTubers. What's a good video editing program to start with? And I always answer VSDC free because it is. And so I figured, since that's what I always answer with, I'd go ahead and do you a quick rundown on how I edit my videos. Alright, so the first thing you want to do, and I'm not sure if I've got my overlay, my Bad Hippie overlay turned on or not, so as I'm recording this, so if I do, hopefully I've got the transparency set properly so you can see what I'm doing in this upper left hand corner. So the first thing you want to do is just simply go to New Project and click on New Project, and then you can set your settings. I've got my resolution set to 1280 by 720, a 16 by 9 with a 30 FPS. Now, for what I do and the way I do things, I really don't need anything above that. I know that a lot of the big YouTubers are all about 1080p, 60 frames per second. Why? Why, man? Professional animation companies use 30 frames a second. The reason 30 frames a second became a standard was because of Walt Disney Studios when he did Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That was the first time that something was animated at 30 frames a second, because in all actuality 29.7 is about as close to real life as you're going to get. Hanna-Barbera and Looney Tunes and shit like that, Bugs Bunny and stuff, when they were on TV, those are all animated at 24 frames a second. Major motion pictures, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all that stuff, 30 frames a second. it's been the industry standard for years. You really don't need anything above 30 frames a second. Just because the number is bigger doesn't really make a big difference in the quality. Okay, now if you're watching it on a big ass high def TV, then I can see the need for a 1080p. But quite honestly, the greatest majority of people that watch YouTube either watch it on their computer or they watch it on their phone, and I see absolutely no sense in increasing the file size by the amount that that's going to increase the file size just to get 1080p and 60 frames a second. Who in God's name actually needs 1080p at 60 frames a second on a freaking phone? You don't. So I record and I edit and I render at 720p 30 frames a second because that's all I need. Now down here you're going to have your projects. I always start with blank project. Whichever is highlighted is what you're going to start with. But since I've been doing this for a while and I know how to start with a blank project, I select blank project. Then up here I've got a notepad over here where I've got the title of my next video. As you can see over there on the right, I've been editing my Dead Island videos, which the next one is going to be Dead Island 11. So I'm just going to highlight that. I'm going to paste in Dead Island 11. I'm going to hit finish, and that's going to open up my blank project. Over here on the left side on the toolbar right here, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and select add video. I'm going to click on that, which is going to, since the last thing I did was Dead Island 10, it's going to bring me straight to my Dead Island folder. I'm going to select my raw capture, which is why I've got this folder named raw cap. I'm going to select my raw capture for Dead Island 11, and I'm going to hit open. That's a 42-minute video, and it took almost no time to pop that thing in. It's awesome. Click OK. There I've got it. A 42-minute video before editing, and it comes straight in just like that. All right. Now over here you've got your settings, your properties window, and this is your resources window. This is where you can see if you've got animation, images, sounds, what videos you have in. Your properties window is right here, so whatever is selected in your timeline is going to come up in this properties window. What we're concerned with right off the bat is our audio. If you're doing YouTube, if you're recording for YouTube, if you're recording with the plans of releasing, keep one thing, very, very important one thing in mind. And that very important one thing that you need to keep in mind is that the ears are much more easily offended than the eyes, okay? If you have a bit of substandard video quality but you still have high quality sound, people will still watch your video. But it doesn't matter how good the video quality is. If your audio sounds like it came out of a fucking tin can, they're going to watch something else, okay? The ears are much more easily offended than the eyes, so you always want to make sure your sound's good. Even if I never do a single cut within the video itself, I always run it through the editor. I select audio effects. I go to amplitude. Oh, I've got to actually select the track. I go to audio effects, amplitude, and I normalize audio. And normalizing them at the standard base default settings works just fine. But please normalize your audio at a minimum. If you have a compressor, that's even better. I don't worry about equalization because most people do that themselves within their media player. Windows Media Player has equalization settings. VideoLAN, which is what I use right there down at the bottom, the VLC media player, that has an equalizer, so you can set your own. Whoever's watching is going to be able to equalize the video to suit whatever speakers they're using, whether they're using external speakers, headphones, surround sound. They can do that themselves within their media player, so I don't worry about that. But I always normalize, and a compressor would not be a bad thing either, but the compressor is something you need more for music, and if you're doing like talk shows, the compressor comes in really handy. Alright, so this does take a while to do the audio normalization, and it's getting close. There we go, reading the peaks files. It's going to be done here in just a minute. And there we go, right there. Okay, now the next thing that's going to happen is that does affect the volume when you normalize it. So the next thing I do is I adjust my volume up to 3 decibels. And that gets it back up to a level where it's, because what happens is on YouTube and other formats like that, very often you'll see a video and the volume won't be quite high enough, so you turn your speakers up to accommodate the low volume, and then when one of those ads pops up in the middle of the video, the commercial is going to blow your freaking eardrums out. So you want to get your audio at a point where people don't really have to adjust their speakers, adjust the volume on their speakers, and the commercials aren't going to blow their eardrums out. So you want to raise it up just a little bit, okay? And that's why I set it to 3. Okay, now that we've got that done, what I'm going to do is, instead of having this, now if you just hit preview, you're going to get a small window. I don't want a small window. I want original quality. So all you got to do is hit the little arrow beside preview and select original quality, and it's going to bring it up at a much better quality. Now the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to right click in that video. I'm going to go to video effects. I'm going to drop down to transparency, and I'm going to select fade in. On fade in, I'm going to set a 3-second fade in right there, just that easy, and click OK. And that's going to give me a 3-second fade in. Hello, ladies. Just like that. 3-second fade in. Okay, that easy. Next thing I want to do for this is, this will take you 1 second at a time. This will move the track, the double arrows will move the track forwards or backwards 1 second. The double arrow, that's to the block end, so it'll take you to the end of that segment. That double arrow with the line will take you to the beginning of that selected segment. And then these will move you frame by frame. So you have multiple options on how to select things in your video. So I'm going to jump 2 seconds ahead, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go over here and select text. Now text can be a little bit tricky, and I'm hoping that they do a fix on this, because text is one of the most difficult things we have so far. But I'm going to set this for 6 seconds. So 0, 0, that's your hours. 0, 0, that's your minutes. 0, 6, that's your seconds. And 0, 0, 0, that's your frames within your second. Okay? So I'm going to set that at 6, and then I'm going to go ahead and highlight that and hit Control-C to copy it, because I'm going to be doing multiple text and image inserts, and I want them all to be 6 seconds. So instead of having to type that out every time, all I have to do is highlight and hit Control-V, and that'll paste in my 6-second number. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, once that's done, I'm going to go right about to the center, maybe a little bit higher, and I'm going to run it all the way across like that so that I know I'm centered. I'm going to center my text, align my text right there. I'm going to make sure that my text color is white. Now for this particular video, I want my contour color, which is the outline of the text, to be red. And just to make sure that that contour comes out right, I'm going to drop the thickness to 1 and then pick it, or 0, then pick it back up to 1. Now, I want to use the Death Head Celts cap for this. This is what I always use for this this particular series. It will be, whatever your recently used fonts are, they're right at the top. The problem I have with the text is it will not always remember which one you used last. It will have that up there, but by default, if you unselect a piece of text and then add text in later, it's going to default back to Arial, and I really wish that they would have it default back to the last one used. I think that would be cooler, but I can still do this. So you just have to keep an eye on it, because sometimes when you change the font size or you change the contour color thickness, it will revert it back to Arial. But for this particular text, I know how it works. We're going to have to select the 96, or it's going to be way too small for our purposes. And I'm going to type in bad, hippie, and then I'm going to hit text again, highlight, Control V, there's my 6 seconds. And right underneath Bad Hippie, under the hippie, I'm going to highlight down or select down. I'm going to make sure that my alignment is good. I am going to reselect that. I'm going to drop my font size to 72. I'm going to make sure my color's red. See, this is the kind of stuff I wish that this would remember instead of me having to reset it every time. There we go, right there. And just to make sure, I'm going to reselect that, and then I'm going to type plays. All right, now I'm going to go to text, which is that top one. I'm going to right click, go to video effects, go to transparency, and go to fade in. Now it did remember my 3-second fade in from the last time. I'm going to change that to 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a 6-second piece of text with a 1-second fade in and a 1-second fade out. So it gives it 4 seconds of full non-transparent text. So it's plenty enough to be able to see. So we got our fade in, we go back to the scene, and we do it again. Video effects, transparency, fade out. And we just repeat that process on the next one. And there we go right there. Now what we're going to do is, with that last one selected, we're going to go to the end of that block, and then we're going to go 2 seconds ahead of that. And now I'm going to go over here and add image. Now that I need to go into my pictures and get into my screenshots, which is where I have my screenshots, and also where I have my logos. And I'm going to select my Dead Island logo. 6 seconds. Okay. Now it's much too big for what I want, so I'm going to bring that up to about there. I'm going to bring that down to about there. There we go. And that should be about good for what I want right there. And then I'm going to set my fade in and my fade out at 1 second. There we go. Now that that's done, I'm going to go to the end of that block. I'm going to advance 2 frames. There we go. And then I'm going to select text again. And in this particular text block, I'm working on episode 11. So I'm going to go right about center, somewhere close to center. Make sure everything's aligned properly. Make sure my proper font is selected. I'm going to set this at a 72. Make sure that I've got my proper text color, contour color, that highlight comes out good. And the last thing I'm going to do is reselect that just to make sure. And I'm going to type in episode 11. And then I'm going to go ahead and set the transparencies on that as well. Now, one of the cool things about this is I now have all of my opening text in, but there is a good chance that I might have to cut something out in here. Now, all of these tracks work independently, so it doesn't matter what I do to this video track as far as editing goes, it will not affect any of the text or the image. That will stay where it is with the fade in and fade out that it already has. Just like that, okay? So it's not going to affect that at all. And if we rewind to the beginning, and now that we've already selected original quality, that will be remembered, and all I have to do is hit preview. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and freaks of nature of all ages. My name is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson, and welcome back to Dead Island Definitive Edition. Now, I think in the last episode, yeah, I got everything repaired. I got everything upgraded to 4. I only have 4 weapons armed up, though. So let's hit inventory, and let's get this other weapon slot, something in it, right there, just like that. So that's done. Now, I have the tendency that when I do, when I edit my videos, I find when I watch other people's videos on YouTube, and I watch a lot of gaming videos on YouTube, one of the things that I really don't like is having to sit through people dicking around in the menu. I do not like that at all. So anytime somebody's dicking around in a menu using crafting, blah, 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 that's shit that I just automatically skip. I find traveling from point A to point B with nothing happening, you know, long distances of driving or walking with nothing going on, and extended periods of time inside of menus to be incredibly fucking boring. So I edit that shit out of mine. I want mine to be gameplay. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this little slider here, which is set the timeline scale. You can also do that up here. Now to do that up here, you absolutely have to go to View and turn on Zoom Tools. By default, Zoom Tools is turned off. You turn on Zoom Tools and you'll get your zoom at the top. So just to let you know. But you don't have to turn it on to use it because you also have Zoom Tools here. Now that's going to zoom your slider to make it easier to see your numbers. That'll zoom your layers, and then down here that will actually zoom your image. And I keep that right around, you know, just because of my screen size. You can do yours however you want to. Alright, so we're going to go and see how much of this I need to edit out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1 second at a time until I get into this piece of menu. Now I just paused a little bit to see how long this piece of menu is, and it's long enough that I'm going to need to edit it out. Alright, so I went 1 second at a time until I saw my menu come up. Now I'm going to back up 1 frame at a time. And if you look down at the bottom, there's your timeline right there down at the bottom. I'm at 25.5 seconds. There we go. And I'll stop at 25.3. Now I'm going to hit preview real quick to make sure that that point is not going to be cutting vocals in half and knocking me off at mid-sentence or mid-word. Inventory. Right. And let's get this other weapon. Okay, so it was halfway through inventory. So I'm going to knock that up to 5. Inventory, and let's get this. Still gets me halfway through inventory, so I'm going to take that up to 25.7. Inventory, and let's get. Still need a little bit more. 8. Inventory, and let's get 9. Inventory, and let 26 seconds. And let's get this. I'm going to have to go to 26.2, I think. Let's go to 26.2. And let's get this right there. Absolutely. Now I'm going to select this. I'm going to right click. And I'm going to go to cutting and splitting. And it's going to bring up my splitter. Now, you can leave it at the small size, or you can maximize. So we're going to go ahead and maximize for this just so you can see it a little bit better. Now the first thing you want to do is hit Start Selection, and that is going to give you your starting point, which is right there on that slider. Then I'm going to hit Play, and let's get this other, and then I'm going to just, I've got the jump forward, the 180 star, and garage, and find that goddamn tree. So that gets me going. Let's put the hammer in place of the diving knife. That just doesn't do enough damage, so I'm going to sell it. And I'm probably going to sell the Morning Star and, you know, some of that other stuff, but right there, that's where I want to stop. As soon as I said but. Okay, so we're going to go 1 frame at a time until that menu disappears right there. That should be good, hopefully. 210, and so, and then we're going to hit End Selection, and now you're going to see 2 red lines up here, and that is the amount of time you're cutting out. Then you go to Cut Region. You can either add a marker. You can use that for splitting files into fragments, creating DVD chapters, things like that. But I'm going to go to Cut Region. And then I'm going to go Apply Changes. It's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to cut that out. I'm going to say yes. All right. And now if I back up a couple of seconds, there we go. Let's see what that cut looks like. I have 4 weapons armed up though, so let's hit inventory. Okay, so that gets me going there. Beautiful, and that's the way I do that. And then I'm just going to continue to go through this video and pull out the stuff that I don't need, which is going to be mainly point A to point B, boring ass traveling, or boring ass time spent in menus. Now, playing a game, I have to spend that time in the menu or I can't upgrade my character, and etc, etc, etc. But people really don't want to see all that time in a menu. Also, I'm looking at a video that is a little over 40 minutes. If I look over here, the duration, even with that cut, is now 42 minutes. So I really want to get that video down under a half an hour if I possibly can. The best time frame to do for gaming videos I found is between 15 to 20 minutes. You're going to get a better view retention if you do between a 15 to 20 minute video for gaming. Vlogs and things like that, you want to keep those 10 to 15 or less, and for gaming videos you want to have them about 15 to 20. However, since I don't do this for money, I do it for fun and friends and self-therapy. If my videos go over 20 minutes, I don't give a flying rat's ass. I still don't want to put them up at over 35 to 40 minutes, but pretty much anything between 20 to 30 minutes is good for me. All right? And then once you've made your adjustments, once you've made your cuts, once you've played around and got everything you needed to do done, then you jump over to projects. You go save project as. I'm going to go into my, and I've got mine broken down into 3 folders. Raw cap is my raw capture. That's the files before editing. In edit is my VSDC video editor files. Dead Island 11, save. And then the Let's Play, that is my finished videos that are ready to upload to YouTube. So we just did that. Now if I make any other changes in this video before, which I'm going to, then all I have to do now is once a change is made, save project will highlight again, because we've already saved the project as, so now all we have to do is click save project and it'll automatically save that. All right. When you get ready to export, you're going to go to export project. All right. You will go to change name, and I will end up putting it in that folder right there because that's where I've got my Dead Island videos in, and I will select that name and Dead Island 11 right there. Now to export the project, you click export, and it will tell you that you do not have premium features enabled. I have not turned hardware acceleration off. You can do that through tools, but when you try to export with hardware acceleration still turned on, it'll give you the option to export the project without premium features. Please press continue. So I just press continue and it will export the video. It just won't use hardware acceleration, and that doesn't bother me in the least. Now you can also format it for PC, DVD, iPhone, iPad, web. You've got, you know, predefined settings for that. You can export as an AVI, an MPG, MOV, WMV, MKV, Real Media, Shockwave, Flash video. It has a ton of options, and we have just barely scratched the surface of this thing. But as you can see, if you're doing pretty much gaming videos and all you really need it for is to normalize your sound and make your sound good, and to just do basic cuts and edits and fade ins and fade outs, and of course you can layer in text and all that kind of good stuff, VSDC Video Editor Free is a good full solution for YouTubers, YouTubers, Twitch, not for streaming but for recording and editing. It is a good solution, but once again, it is Windows only. All right. With that said, Please do not forget to check the links in the description below for the Disabled American Veterans and the Wounded Warriors Project. Let's please help support our veterans. If you liked the video, then hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends and family to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Please don't forget to leave me a comment. They are always welcome, good, bad, or somewhere in between. Thank you very much for watching. I love and appreciate every single one of you. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And until next time, this is Brian Bad Hippie Jackson saying peace, love, clean underwear, and happy gaming.